Hi guys, welcome back to Daily Astrology. Today I'm going to be doing this video for the transit of Saturn, and in the transit Saturn is getting in the retrograde in motion from July 13th onwards. Now I promised in the monthly reading for the month of July that I will be recording the transit video for Saturn's retrograde because it's a crucial one, and I wanted to share some perspective with you guys as to how it can be impacting us. Now Saturn, of course, is considered to be a malefic, and thereby when a planet which is retrograded, which is considered to have a very high Cheshtabal, a part that is seen in the Shadbala. Many of you who come to my readings, I share the Shadbala scores as well for each of the planets with you guys. And there you would have noticed that it is a component, it's a part. And depending on the Shadbala score of a planet in your chart, you are able to realize that what sort of an impact, positive or negative, auspicious or inauspicious, can be seen in your life. And thereby, in general considerations, Saturn, which is considered to be a malefic, when he gets retrograded, usually because of that Cheshtabal being high, because now the Shadbala overall being higher than normal, the ability of this malefic planet to deliver results is increased. Now, whether or not Saturn's impact in your chart through the transits retrograde will be positive or negative will highly be dependent on the score, on the strength, on the dignity of Saturn in your natal chart. Now, again, I cannot be giving you general indications on that front. Very crudely speaking, somebody might say that an exalted Saturn in most of the charts or in the charts where it is a Yoga Karaka planet like that for Libra is usually delivering good results. But I have noticed that people with exalted Saturn in Libra or in other zodiacs as well, they tend to struggle with their lives, even in their Saturn Dasha Antardashas in Sadesatis. Now, why is that? Because you've got to understand that what is the dignity? Is it direct? Is it retrograde? What is the Shadbala of your planet? How is it positioned? What house, what placement? And based on that, within the particular sign, what kind of points he is getting within Pisces, for example, if he is transiting right now, what sort of points he is getting. And thereby you will be able to derive a much more comprehensive understanding. However, since it is my fiduciary responsibility to share a generalized perspective which can have an overarching effect, I will be talking during the course of this video to give you a sense that what you should anticipate. But the accurate measure of it will come through if you are able to analyze your natal version as well. I hope, folks, you get a perspective of what I'm trying to say here. And now we should just deep dive to see what sort of a impact you will see with this transit, folks. Now, for you guys, Scorpios, since Saturn is placed in the fifth house and it is getting retrograded here, he is the lord of your third house and your fourth house. And if you are watching this from a moon sign perspective, then for Scorpio moon, you guys had your Shani Daya going on until Saturn was placed in your fourth. So he is now getting retrograded. It's almost like moving in that same direction as well. So tad bit of those effects, some tad bit of that impact might also come into play. You have to understand here when the third lord is getting retrograded or the fourth lord is getting retrograded, it is getting strong Cheshtabal. Cheshtabal is one of the components that you see typically in your Shadbala perspective. And I had called out earlier as well that, in your natal chart, the dignity of Saturn, where it's placed, what its Shadbal is also going to give an impact as to what quality of this retrograded transit you are going to experience. But when the third lord is third places away from itself, it amplifies your effort, it amplifies the push that you bring to the table. And now realize that when his Cheshtabal is higher in retrogradation, the kind of magnitude you can achieve can be tremendous. But since Saturn is a malefic, the malefic aspect of a retrograded planet or the malefic behavior of a retrograded planet is also higher. So the amount of insanity that you have to witness with respect to your efforts, with respect to your courage, with respect to what you have to bring to the table to accomplish your goals, your objectives, is going to be multifold. He is going to make you work hard during this period. But as I've been calling out to everybody, Saturn's retrogression is happening, bringing his movement in the direction of Rahu. What is Rahu? He denotes technology, he denotes AI. In the modern era, if an educated guy like me cannot give you repercussions of what's happening in the market, tee it down to what is going to impact from a transit perspective in astrology, then it's not worthwhile. Guys, at a mundane level, there is going to be some enormous revelation that is going to come into play from an AI perspective with this shift, with this transit, with this retrogression of Saturn. And this, because it is happening into the house of knowledge, into the house of property, asset gains, you are going to see a multiplier from that perspective too. You will have to bring some excessive amount of internalization of that information, that knowledge in your life, and then see how your gains, how your work, how your career gets impacted, how your business gets impacted. So that's the first and the foremost thing that I want to bring to the table. Now, because Saturn showcases your third house, he showcases your courage, he showcases your siblings, your neighborhood, and in retrogression, 3 places away from itself, into the house of creativity, he will bring deeper involvement in those areas. He will require you to bring more to the table with respect to efforts, more courage, boldness, confidence, and self belief. And it will all be driven through knowledge. It will all be driven through insights, through your understanding, not a degree. But it is also an opportunity. There could be certain issues, certain delays, especially in the first part of this retrograde transit for many of you. But if it is well placed for a student community as well, it can bring enormous challenges. It can bring difficulties in the initial part, but reward you at the later part of it, depending on your own karma. I will talk about the aspects and I'm going to throw more insights to that in a few minutes. Now, what is 4th house? It denotes your property, movable and movable assets, your knowledge, your learnings. And retrogression is telling, with Rahu's presence in that many of you, say a Scorpio ascendant with a exalted Saturn in a decent Shadbala, can be very rewarding. You could end up buying a new property. You could end up making some kind of a shift. You had been planning for it for a while. I already know somebody in my vicinity who's planning to do this, and it's coming into fruition for them. And I had predicted this in my monthly videos as well for Scorpios. So you will realize that this is going to be a period where you could see that shift coming into play. That you might end up making a major investment. You might end up making a major purchase in terms of assets during this point in time. But it can also reflect in the form of knowledge. You might gain an insight of something. You might gain an information about something, knowledge about some aspect related to technology, related to whatever field of interest that you have. And that will reciprocate, that will replicate itself in its outcomes through its aspects. But for sure, many of you will be making some kind of a shift. It's like it was the unfinished activity from Saturn from a 4th house perspective, which he is now giving an inclination to finish off. So this period is going to give you the opportunity to make those humongous purchases, those buys at this point in time. But at the same time, remember, Rahu is an illusionist. He might want to entice you into something crazy. So you will have to keep a tap of whether or not that direction is right for you or not. That is something I cannot predict from transit. You'll have to look at to your natal chart and decipher it in terms of which dasha antardasha you are going through. What sort of a dignity your Saturn is in your natal chart. Now, from an aspect perspective, you have to understand this Saturn is giving a retrograded aspect into your 7th house, into your house of gains, which is 11th, and then into your 9th house. Jupiter is also currently in your 8th. He will be moving into the sign of exaltation and retrogression from October onwards into your 9th house. And until then, what you will realize is that this is going to be a time where there could be some unexpected effort that could be required, work that you might have to put into your relationships, into your partnerships. And I should not say unexpected here. At the end of the day, he's the Lord of efforts, he's the Lord of hard work. So that sort of tenacity will be there in you, and you will be required to bring that tenacity, that hard work, that effort in partnerships. Now, people who are married, you will have to work in your relationship. People who are running their own businesses, you will have to work with your partners. Fifth house is the house of creativity. Fifth house is the house of investments, childbirth. It denotes your romantic relationships. And this is where some kind of a drift might happen. If you are planning to conceive children during this period of time, I would give you a word of caution that you might have to look into it, either give some delay if it is a planned thing. If not, and if you are already in that journey, then please be very careful towards your health. In terms of your relationships as well, especially in your current relationships, you might feel as if you need to take a lean back. The other party, your partner, need to understand you deeper. But still, an effort will be required from your end to make sure that you guys are on the same page. You are delivering in relationship as required. So that commitment, that effort is going to be needed. There is going to be a positive shift from an investment strategy perspective if it has been planned. You've been consistently, people who are into mutual funds, strategized investing. I feel good about all those areas. But if it is an unplanned thing, if you are trying to, make some short-term gains, then Saturn doesn't enjoy that. Saturn doesn't like it. Any kind of speculative activities at this point in time will not pan out positively. So even your creative bent of mind might be timid because you might want to feel some level of relaxation, some level of laziness. You might want to take a slack, cut some slack for yourself, take some break and see that, okay, I'm going to pace it out for myself. But the fact is, the moment you get lazy, that third to third and cheshta bal of Saturn is not now going to come into play, and it is going to act as of creating obstacles. So you have to understand that if you remain consistent with that hard work, the same thing can work out positively for you, which means those strategic investments in terms of your money, or whether in your relationships, or with respect to your education and stuff, will give consistent outcomes. He's giving an aspect to the 11th as well, but it's a retrograded aspect. He's saying put more karma. Your desires will be fulfilled because I'm giving an amplified aspect. But I want you to put more efforts without any expectation. And it will definitely pan out, Scorpios, during this span of time, because it's the third to the third getting retrograded. But the tactomy, or the test of Saturn, the sadism of Saturn is that he likes to lure you, tempt you with things like laziness, procrastination, delays, enjoying that subtlety in terms of taking some time off. I'm not saying that cut out on your vacations and become a workaholic, but I'm reminding you at the same time that you need to find that balance, and somewhere that balance is going to shift towards putting more effort. Because he's a malefic. For Scorpios as moon sign or for ascendants, he doesn't have that relationship with Mars. But he will not be a denier. So you will have to pass that test before delivering that outcome. You will have to be watchful in your formal communications to my friends, because in whether be it partnership in terms of marriage, or be it in terms of your customers, clients, the larger world, even in terms of your travel, that you are not, because that harshness of Saturn from a formal communication perspective could be high, it could be hurtful and thereby creating challenging situations. So keep a watch on how you are communicating, especially in the formal setup, with your spouse, with your husband, with your wife, in a public setting. So, not talking to them properly in a public setting is going to create a much of a repercussion back at home. Those kind of things you have to be cognizant of. Now, I'm not saying that you ever be disrespectful, but at times we let our guards down and we express our heart out, and that is okay. But within that closed environment, because in the formal setup perspective, it might be hurtful. His aspect to the 11th, a retrograded aspect, is reminding you that I'm there to fulfill because he's the one, the true owner of the 11th house. So he's in a way aspecting his own house. In a way, that is the sign of Mercury as well there. But he's saying that for you to accomplish now, I expect you that 3x multiplier too. And fear not, folks, in retrogradation, you can get a 3x result too. So you will have to put, and I've been calling it out for every zodiac. Of course, for Capricorn, Libras, Aquarius, things become different because he has a much larger role to play. But for other zodiac signs, you will have to pivot based on what this Saturn, is throwing at you. He gives an aspect to your second house. Now, from a second house aspect perspective, it is your savings, it is your wealth, it is your family. And there will be some shift required from your side in terms of prioritizing the needs of your family on top of yours. In fact, you could see an enablement from your family as well towards your health, towards your fitness, towards your gains. They might step in to support you. So don't feel shy in the need of the hour to bring your near and dear ones together and making sure that because there will be too much on your plate, because you will be taking so many tasks together, if you would want to get some support, some help from their side as well. And it might as well be a monetary sort of support. Some of you Scorpios might chip in with some sort of a monetary support with your family members, your parents, your wife, whatever that situation may be. This is going to be an important period for you. Most of you, I think, Scorpios will be doing well with respect to recuperating from your health perspective. You would be bringing in some focus from that direction. Your food habits could improve. But if there is a conscious effort going in that direction, it will result, it will, reflect in your physical self too, in your growth story as well. So that is going to be an important bit there. But this Saturn, because he is giving that retrograded aspect to your speech, and this becomes crucial, that there could be a lot of directness, sternness, sometimes to the level of absurdity in your communication as well. But I would need you to be careful because that could come across as hurtful and self-centric approach for you guys, for your immediate family members, for your immediate near and dear ones, your friend network as well. Now that I touch upon network, it also reminds me that this is going to be a point of time in your life. Saturn will be giving an aspect to your house of networks where old friends, people with whom you've been in touch from a long period of time and you've not been speaking to them or you've not been connecting to them, you could leverage them at this point in time for your work, career, profession, whatever. You could reach out to people, you can ask for help, and you can expand on that network, reach out to materialize your goals, objectives, desires, whatever, with respect to the effort that you are putting to the table. Call it out. Say on social media, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Call out to your fan following, towards your friends. Ask for that support. And this Saturn is going to support you in that direction as well. So again, the interesting point is that being the fourth lord, there will be a lot of areas where he will ignite that thought process that, I can cut some slack for myself. I can take a break. But that might not be the best approach. Last but not the least, I would want you to understand that the aspect of Jupiter, an exalted one, will come on the Saturn and to his own house in the last part, in the October-November month period. So all the hard work, all the efforts, and I keep repeating this for all these zodiac readings this time around, that rigor that is going into it will start reflecting in that period. Positive repercussions, because in a way, Jupiter happens to be one of the Yoga Karaka planets for you. You don't have exactly a Yoga Karaka planet by definition, but he is a benefic planet and he is getting exalted for you guys and then giving an aspect back to his own sign and on Saturn. So and that will be a retrograded aspect to a very strong aspect from Jupiter. So at the taper end of this transit of retrogression of Saturn, you will find that if your efforts have been in the right direction, if your natal Saturn is not in extremely bad dignity, if it is neutral to good, the outcomes will be extremely positive for you in the fag end of this transit. I hope, guys, you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, then smash on that like button, subscribe to Dev Astrology and keep watching. Om Namah Shivaya, Har Har Mahadev.